This is the first in a series of recorded videos to describe the features of Relate to Profit. I'm going to keep these videos short and try to label them appropriately. So I'm going to log in to my Relate to Profit subscription. And you'll see on the home page after I log in a main menu of features, a sub-menu underneath that main menu, and then kind of a dashboard type display. I'll review what's on this dashboard in a separate video on activities because it's mostly the activities that drive this dashboard. So I'm going to go back up to the main menu. As you click on each menu item, the sub-menu will change to reflect the features that are underneath that particular menu item. I'm going to review the items that are underneath the My Account main menu item. So I can go to my company information and I can set up my company name, address, telephone number, all of the things that you would expect in a contact management system. So that's my company information, my contact information, and this is me as the logged in user. So it's typically the subscriber or the people who are users within that subscription. Manage their information here. My contact information, again, it's typical information that you would expect in any contact management system. I can schedule activities for myself, and this is just like scheduling activities for any other contact. I can add a new activity. It's for myself. I can choose an activity type, specific activity within that activity type, when I'm going to start it, when I plan to end it. I can give it a priority. I can make some pre-activity notes. I can put in a desired result. And I can project the revenue that this activity will produce for me if I expect it to produce revenue. When this activity is completed, I can come in here and I can put in a completion date, post-activity notes, actual result, actual revenue, any expenses that were incurred, and the time spent, and some invoicing information. And this is very similar to recording an activity for any contact, which we'll cover in another video. But I'm going to save this. And so now when I am looking at the My Activities page, I can see that I have an activity here that I've recorded for myself. I can go back in and modify this activity by clicking on this button out here to the right. And I can come back in here if I want and add completed or change anything. Click Save. I can delete it if I don't want to see it anymore. But that's the My Activities associated with my user account. Under this tab is where I can change my password. I put in my current password, choose a new password, re-enter that password, and I can change my password. And finally, on the far right here is my subscription information. And I've used a subscriber code, which I will cover in another video session, my last payment date, and my expiration date. And obviously I've set my expiration date to be far into the future. So those are the capabilities underneath the My Account tab. So I'm going to continue with setup information, and I'm going to go over here to accounts. This is where I can create user accounts within my subscription. And you can see that the only thing I can do under here is view the accounts. And because I have a 5-user subscription, I can't add any more accounts. So I'm going to go get rid of this account. This was somebody who was test driving Relate to Profit. So I'm going to delete this account. And now that I only have 4 users, I can create a new user account. So to create a new user account, click this button. It asks me to select who I want to create this account for. And this list is populated by users that have been assigned to my company information. And I'll cover this again when we cover contacts. But this list is short. It's not every contact that's in my database. It's only the contacts that are assigned to my same company as the subscription owner. So I can select one of these users, I can give them a password, and then I have a bunch of account privileges that I can give to this user. I can allow them to create other user accounts. I can allow them to modify all contacts, which means their contacts and any contacts entered by any other user in this subscription. They can view relationships between all users and their contacts. They can modify relationships between all users and their contacts. And they can define goals for other users, and they can modify goals created by other users. So keep in mind that as you create users within your subscription, they can always modify their own contacts. Their contacts are assigned to them as users within the subscription. These permissions allow other users to access the contacts of users within the subscription. So I hope that's clear. I'm just going to cancel this and not create another account. So that's all there is to user accounts. You can see here that their name, their email address, and their privileges are here listed for you, and you click on details to go modify that information. The next part of setup is under options. So these are the items that you can customize for Relate to Profit, and I'll go through each one of these. Under relationship stages is where you can set up your own of the 3 of the relationship stages. We have 3 stages of a relationship. I have labeled them introduced, trusted, and mature. By default, if you don't change or set anything here, they'll be called stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. So you can label these relationship stages any way that you like. I will show you in a future video where these stages are used throughout the system. This is a pretty significant item in Relate to Profit. Under activities, you can create your own activities. By default, Relate to Profit comes with a large set of activities, and they're grouped by activity category. So these are follow-up activities, and this is a list of follow-up activities, leisure activities, if you're planning on recording leisure activities that you do with your contact. We have motivational activities. We have product and service related activities. So this is where you would enter the things that you sell and that you are going to record revenue against. So you can customize this. You can see that I have customized this for the things that my company sells. And this is the way I can track what I'm selling and the revenue generated by each of the items that I am providing to my clients. We have a section of promote the contact. So these are activities that you would use to meet with your contact and promote their business. And then these are referral activities. These are the activities that you are going to use to refer your contact. So these are also very significant in Relate to Profit. So the ones that have a description here are the ones that I have customized. The ones without a description are the ones that have been provided for you as standard in Relate to Profit. And I can add a new activity here. I select the activity type. I want to add a new leisure activity. Let's say I want to record golfing with my clients. And I can give it a scorecard value. Again, a scorecard is another feature in Relate to Profit that I will talk about in detail in a separate video. But this is a big one, so I'll give it a scorecard value of 10. So now if I scroll down, I already had golf in here, and I already had it at a 10. So I've added a second golf leisure activity. So the ones that I can modify, the ones with details here, are the ones that I've created. The ones without a details link to modify are the ones that are provided directly by Relate to Profit. So I'll go and I'll get rid of this. And I have removed the golf item that I have set up. So that's activities. Sequences are where you can combine activities into a single sequence, and then you can assign that single sequence to a contact, and all of the activities will be assigned to that contact. So for instance, if you have a process where after you schedule a one-to-one, and after you perform that one-to-one, you send a thank you card. So instead of creating two activities when you schedule this, the one-to-one and the follow-up thank you card, you can create a sequence which combines those two activities. And I'm going to look at this one right here. So you have a sequence name, you have a sequence description, you have the first activity, which is to motivate the contact. And again, I'm selecting from these activity types and activity lists that I showed you in the previous menu item. I can give it a note, and I can specify the amount of time between the start date and the target date. So when you add this sequence to a contact, you're going to be asked for a start date, and this amount of time will be used to assign the target date. My second activity in this sequence is going to be an email. I'm going to send an email thank you for the one-to-one, and it's going to occur one day. And it's going to be scheduled to occur one day after the start date of this sequence. And then I have a third activity. Oh, I guess not. This is where I can add a third activity. So let's say I want to add a third activity after the email. At the end of the sequence, I want another follow-up activity. I'm going to make a phone call to schedule our next appointment. I'm going to say that the start date and the target date are 1 week apart, and I want this activity to be scheduled 1 week after the previous activity. I'm going to say save. If I come back to this sequence, I now have a third activity that's a follow-up call to schedule the next appointment 1 week after the prior activity. I can use this arrow to rearrange the order that these activities are in, and now I can add a fourth activity here under next activity. So sequences are handy once you have a process in place and you have all your activities defined. You can create this sequence and assign this sequence to a contact and very quickly add 3 or more activities to that contact right away. So that's sequences. Networks is where you can customize the networks that you are going to be able to assign to contacts. So nothing particularly out of the ordinary here. You can create as many networks as you like by clicking on Add Network. There's really nothing too special about this that you can't do in any other contact management system. There's categories of networks, and you can just name the network, save it in here. And again, Relate to Profit comes with a series of networks, and you can add your own networks here to fill out your network list. Same thing with groups. You can create groups, and these are very specific to your subscription. Relate to Profit doesn't provide any by default, but you can group your contacts. And so you can decide between what's a network and what's a group and define these things accordingly. To add a new group, you simply give it a group name, give it a group description so you don't forget why you created it, and it will show up in this list with the group name and the group description. So for both networks and groups, you can assign your contacts into these networks and into these groups. Professions are also assigned to your contacts when you create a contact, and you can add professions here to customize your subscription. Again, Relate to Profit comes with a standard set of professions. You can tell the ones that are included by Relate to Profit because you don't have a details button. To add a new profession, simply choose the classification that it's in, add a profession name, and it'll show up in the list. So just a place to customize the professions that you can assign to your contacts. Okay, finally, under Setup, you have some options here on how items are displayed throughout Relate to Profit. So you can assign your currency type, you can assign your date format, how you want your dates displayed, and you can select your language. So there is a translator area. I'm not going to cover that right now. If you are interested in that, let me know and I'll provide more details on the translation area. We have a link to Constant Contact. If you are familiar with Constant Contact, they are an email messaging system. If you have a Constant Contact account, you can put in your username and your password, your Constant Contact password here, and click Save. And then under the Export menu item, you will be able to export your contact information directly to Constant Contact through the Constant Contact API. If you are interested in setting up a Constant Contact account, you can click this link. That'll take you to Constant Contact with my Constant Contact reseller ID attached. And if you sign up through me, I'll get a few dollars based on your subscription. So you can consider that. Quote Actions, I'm not sure is still in business, but we used to have the ability to connect with Quote Actions. So I'm not sure that that is still there. Again, if you're interested in more information on any of the information on this page, Constant Contact and Quote Actions, we can talk about that further. So that's what I wanted to cover today in this video. So we've gone through the My Account menu item, we've gone through the options, and we've gone through the accounts.